Well, hello there again, friends. Today is 6/10/2022, and today is the Odin Project vlog day 117. And I have arrived. Woohoo! I have completed the to-do app, at least as far as I'm going to take it. And I will start off by saying that. You can see some commented code there on my HTML that says to do build out and refactor the project to include this feature at a later date. So what I did was I commented out the default and create new project drop down list because I wasn't able to make that work. You'll see as evident as we go along of that not being included, and the reason why I discluded it, excuse me, or not included it from the project, is because I basically spent, and this is a good couple key pointers for you guys that if you're following along in my series is make sure that you scope your project out really well and don't move on to other features until you've got your current feature all built out. And so one of the mistakes I made was in the video or two ago I talked about persistence with the web storage API, and that it only contains one set of key value pairs for a particular key, and that is true. That's not false. And when you call a save item, it will overwrite. Everything I said in that video is true. However, what I didn't understand to be true, that I did find out here, but it was basically too late, was that you can send in an array, and that's how you can get around that and have multiple to-do lists, which that would include multiple projects, being able to create different projects. So basically, I would have to, if I want to include projects at this point, I would have to go back and refactor like 80% of my code base, because everything is based upon the persistence of one single key value pair. And so I actually gave it a shot. I tried to go back and refactor, because you remember, as you guys remember from the previous videos, not to get too wordy here, but I had a to-do array that I was tracking as we were creating the to-dos. So I tried using that, used a for each loop with it, and tried reusing the modules as is, and I was getting all kinds of syntax and type errors, and so I backed all that out and said, I'm burned out of this. I really need to move on. So this is the final video. So I just negated the project portion of this requirements, but everything else is good. I cleared the objective that I wanted to from the last video of making the display interactive, and there's a delete to do button on it now. I'll show you that in the code, and then we'll show you that in the browser at the end. But just wanted to get a little wordy up front here to let you know that that the project technically is not complete because I didn't finish the default projects. So I won't belabor that point anymore, but I will say also, just as something to keep in mind, when you're pseudocoding and you're writing your notes and your thoughts on paper, be mindful as you create new features and new modules that you use unique classes. So learn from my mistake. So it's probably not really clear in my videos, but one of the things I ran into, and I had to do a lot of bug hunting after bringing live a new feature, is that I had several classes that were not named uniquely, and they're just like, for instance, li, and so I ended up having two different sets of LIs, and so instead of just manipulating and looping over one LI, my for loop was looping over all the LIs and doing unknown and crazy things that I was like, why is it doing this? So after it took me forever, because that won't throw you any error. It's a process flow error. So after I figured out, just through trial and error and combing through the code line by line by line, I figured it out that I needed to have unique classes and target those with my node selectors, my query select alls. So just something to keep in mind. Even if you don't think you're going to have features in place that are going to target a specific set of LIs, or in this example, go ahead and create a class just for them. It will make your life so much easier down the road. If you know you're not going to have unique features like that, then it makes sense to have a generic LI that you can target for your JavaScript against and your CSS against. But if you have anything targeted, you really need to get specific and take notes if you need to. But when you do that kind of stuff. But anyway, I won't go into that anymore. So let's go ahead and move on. So I already explained nothing else changed in the HTML here. Let's go over to the index.js file. So I didn't do anything else to this from the last video except I cleaned up the bottom here, so all that commented out code is gone. So I just kind of cleaned this up and made it look nice. I didn't do anything with display default projects because, like I said, I might come back and refactor this down the road because I thought a couple videos ago I said to you guys I was going to use this as a portfolio project, but I'm not sure I'm going to now because I found out, although I had a personal interest in this to-do list for myself, everybody and their brother makes these makes these projects out there. When I was doing some Googling, I came across a ton of them. So I probably won't use this in my personal portfolio. But if I do, I made little to-do comments like come back to this call if I build out this feature in the future to go ahead and remind myself that I need to change things. So that's kind of where I was going with that. So that didn't change. CSS we're going to skip over. Nothing really to speak about here. Just minor class selector name changes and stuff like that. Nothing major. And then some CSS around a button that we use JavaScript to make and target, but we'll go over that in the browser. And so here is the create to do. I don't think anything has changed here from the last video, except I went ahead and one of the things I was talking about a little bit ago about running into trouble with syntax problems is I'm everywhere you see checklist. No, that's not there. Here, I didn't change it there because I'm not using the to-do array right now. But basically I moved checklist outside of the mustache, so it's not a property, and it becomes a string. And that's necessary because, as you know from the last video, and all the videos really, the checklist variable is basically an array that converts to a list, or not a list, a string of checklist items. So I didn't want that. I was running into type errors when I had it inside the mustache because it's not a property. So you don't want to make it a property. So I went ahead and removed all that from there. Along is the same thing in local storage here. I removed it outside of the mustache brackets and as a parameter as well. And then that's it for that change. And I don't think I changed anything else on this module from last video. All the change and nothing changed from blank project load. That's just the same. It just happens to be there. Again, not doing anything with it right now. But down the road, if I want to refactor it and use it as a portfolio project, I can refactor it then. So all my major changes for this video happened in Dominant. So here's the display function, display to do. It's been completely refactored. This is what I spent the last basically 3 days on, because this interacts heavily with create to do. So I'm going to go through top to bottom on it. You can see it's significantly longer than it was before. I will skip the stuff I had before. I'm not going to rehash over what we've already talked about. No need for that. But so we're going to gather starting off here, we're going to gather the data from local backend storage and initialize. This is not any different than we had before. And then I'm going to check to ensure local storage is present to load, otherwise gracefully return out, avoid app crash. This is what I mentioned in the last video at the very end when I was writing down some notes, if you remember, and that's what this does, because we don't ever want our program to look to local storage and something not be there, and then it crashes because it's expecting to see it, and then it hangs or crashes, so basically crashes and gives us an error. So we don't want that. So basically we need title, description, due date, and priority to be filled out and not be null. And then if it is, we're going to, or if one of them is null or not filled out, we're going to return back and ask the user to try again. And then I have a next one is clear and check and clear current display DOM. That was in the previous video. Create and display the card for the display DOM. I think this was on, yeah, this was on the last video too. So basically we're creating the display here, creating projects, creating the card. Yeah, we had this because I had the card on the screen. Create, delete, to-do, card, button, event listener to remove card from display. So this is new. And so what we're doing here is we're creating a delete to-do button. And this takes on, creates an element called button, or an element of button. So it puts a button on the screen. And we're going to give it a class list of, again, here's where I was talking about, you want to get specific. If you're going to have features and you're targeting certain things and certain groups of things, it's important to have these classes set up. So I have a class of excuse me. I have a class of remove to do button, and then sorry about that. Trut is active tonight. Ooh. So we have and then we have delete to do button dot text content that says delete complete to do, and that's basically just the text on the button. And then we have we're going to append the child that delete to do button to the card, and then we're going to add an event listener to the delete to do button, and then it's going to fire off a local function called delete to do. And originally I had this going out to another module, but it seemed excessively unnecessary at this point, so I kept it all within the context of this display to do dominant module. So this is a local function, delete to do, and it just has card.remove. So if you remember from the library project, the library app project, excuse me, this just removes the card node from the screen, and then we also will call local storage.clear. This is something that I've been using in the browser in the up till this point of writing this in the code. I was using this in DevTools to interactively remove local storage because there was no way. So once you wrote to local storage, it would remain there. That's the whole point of having local storage. So what this does is actually when you call that .clear method, it actually clears everything out of the local storage and allows you to basically start over and start from fresh. And since we're clicking the user's clicking the delete to do, that's the assumption is that they want to start over. So they're either wanting to delete the to do because they want to create another one, or that it's done, etc. And we have next section, place data in local temp array and loop over key value pairs and display it to DOM. This is not new. This is all same thing from the previous video. It's just you see things are in different order because I need them to fire in different orders so that the DOM for a particular element was present when it needed to be. So that's why things are shifted around a little bit here. But in the next section we have a DOM for checklist items to present to right side display area. And so this is the good meat and potatoes here of making the form more interactive than what it was in the previous video, instead of just having a text list. So we have a document query selector all p tag that is called para. So I'm gathering up all p elements, and then I have document.create element p is the checklist label. So we're going to have a checklist label that's a paragraph tag. And then we're going to have a text content for the checklist label, and we're going to call it checklist items, click item when completed. And it'll be on the screen. And then we're going to create a UL right there. And we're going to call it UL. And then for checklist label, I'm kind of all over the place here on my in this section for my code, but as far as going back and forth. But we're going to add a class to the checklist label of check-list-label. Again, be specific. It's important. This is cool. This guy kind of just hacked together on my own. It actually worked. So reason why I did query selector all up here on for paragraph tags is I wanted to make sure that my UL created here got put at the bottom of the card always in every circumstance. So what I did was I had para.length, which para.length -1 actually in the brackets will look at, since this is a query selector all, this is para is a node list. So it's going to go through the node list, and if you do para.length -1, that will take you to the very end of the last element in para and last node item, and then we're going to append the UL. And that's important to have that in there, otherwise you'll get mixed results and your unordered list will show up in weird spots on the card. So this keeps it consistent. So that means no matter what is put in para, we ensure by doing this that the UL is always at the bottom. So we have ul.appendChild checklist label, and then console.log show me the contents of checklist from local storage for diagnostic purposes. And then this was from before. Let's see. This was from before. Loop through the temp checklist array and create li and display to DOM. Okay, so that's from before. I didn't add anything there. This is new here. You know what? No, this isn't. Is that? Okay, display li. No, that was. I don't know. We'll just go over it. So there's a for loop here. I equals 0. I is less than checklist array.length. I don't remember if we went through this or not, but I think I might have. Now this was added. So the checklist array was there, but I just added to it more. So basically, we get the length of the checklist array. It's a temporary internal array. We went through in the last video, but then I'm looping through it here and creating LIs for each one, and giving it a class name of display li, and then we're going to have each incremented checklist array item index is going to be the text content. This line is weird, but it's important because this allows each li's text name to also be its text content, which will in turn allow us to manipulate it in the DOM. As that add value key pair, if that makes sense. It will in a minute. So now we're going to add event listener on each li, and toggle the CSS class to strike through the text on display. So we're going to add the event listener, and then we're going to run a local function strike out checklist item, and then if it's going to do a toggle function. So I don't know if we went through this before, but basically that line of code does it checks to see if you've clicked. So if you clicked the li and you're going to toggle it to done, then that means that it's going to when you click on it, it's going to take the Boolean value of true for done, and then we're going to so if that's the case, we're going to go to local storage.setItem and set the text content to true. And so li.textContent is what I was mentioning before. It's kind of cool. I don't know if this is perfect way to do this or if it's the legit way to use set storage, because you're supposed to use strings, but I was able to use a property string via a li element, and so that's good because I'm able to then see in the object of the text, the text of the actual key instead of it being something random. So we're going to set the item of that particular click to true. Else if the click is unclicked and the line is hashed out of the, or taken out of the display, we're going to toggle back to display li, which is the target name up here, and then local storage, we're going to set the item as that name is false. this kind of may not make sense. It will when we go through it in the browser. So that's basically this line of code, this chunk of code here is basically allowing it's updating in real time when you click the li and the line goes through the text, meaning that you're done with it. You're checking it off the list. This just tells you that it's good to go, and that you're updating the local storage to flag that. Hang on a second, I need a drink. Thank you for waiting for me. All right. So then we have ul.append child li. So we're going to set at the bottom here. We're going to append that li to the ul for each loop, each iteration. And then here it's all inside of an if statement as well. So if checklist does not equal empty string, we're going to do all that we just said. Otherwise, if checklist is empty string, we're going to just return out gracefully. And that just is a check I had to put in there afterwards, again through trial and error and testing, because if for whatever reason your checklist, there's a point in the workflow where your checklist variable has nothing in it, you don't want to go through all this, because it'll create an empty li in there that's not doing anything, and it'll actually show up on the page and cause you some grief. So if you do this quick check and loop out and basically if over it and skip the for loop, that works great. And then the bottom here we have call on page refresh to check for existing strike-throughs. This I googled. So window.onload is a method that will fire as soon as the page is refreshed. So it automatically does that by design. Fires immediately after the browser loads the object. So, and that's going to fire off this anonymous local function, and it's going to do a loop through the current displays LIs on the DOM and assign the strike through CSS if local storage API flag is set. So basically, it's going to go back and look at what was done up here in the backend local storage, and so we're going to first we're going to create a li nodes query selector all the display li. Again, this is where specificity, can't even say that word, where that matters, and this is code breaking if you don't put this in here. So we're only targeting the LIs that are on the right side display area. So for each li node, we're going to check to see if the local storage get item is true, and if it is true, we're going to say for diagnostic purposes inside the onload if, and then we're going to change the class name of li node to done. And the CSS targeted for done, just so you know, since you've seen it a couple times now, is line through text decoration. So when it's clicked, it's going to put a line through it, and it's going to change the text color from black to gray, kind of like a grayed out shade, and you'll see that here in a moment. And that's it. So basically, if the if statement is false, meaning that the when you retrieve the text content for get item and it's false, meaning that we've toggled it back to display li, meaning we've unchecked it, like maybe we accidentally checked it, or we came back and we want to undo that because we needed to do that task over again, or whatever the case may be. It will leave that alone basically if it's false, and it won't try to put the strike through back on it. So there's that, and I know it's going to be super wordy. It's going to be a long video. I apologize for that, guys, but please watch this again for further understanding. So let's hit the browser now, and I'll show you how this works. So you hit the Add To Do button. Again, just like usual, what you see, the project list is gone at this point. It's still there. It's just hidden or commented out as per the beginning of the video. So we'll just do test. All the previous checks work for error checking and cleansing, so I won't go over that again. I just want to demo to you really the functionality on the right side, because nothing on the left side's changed for the form. Add the test 2, add to checklist, test 3, add to checklist, test 4, add checklist, submit to do. And there you go, it pops up. So all this part's the same as before, but now you see I have checklist items, click item when completed, and a delete/complete to do button. So if you watch the console down here, we'll click test. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't have any verboseness to that. But you see when I clicked test 1, it put a line through it, strike through it, and turned it to gray, which is what we want. And if I do local storage, if you do this call here, it'll tell you the current status of local storage. And you'll see that test 1 should show up here. Yep, test 1 is the key because we did that uniquely through the code. And Dominip. Sorry, I just want to show you this real quick. By doing this right here, and then all the preceding code there, and then doing the set item to li.text content as the key. And then we do test 4. Say we check that one off. We run local storage again. And you'll see now it's added. See, it doesn't add it until you clicked it for the first time anyway, and then it stays. So that's why test 2 and 3 you don't see show up here yet. So test 4, there's test 4 is true. So if I refresh the browser, see it stayed. It had retention and persistence. So test 1 is hash through, and test 4 is strike through, hash through, whatever you want to call it, and grayed out. And go to storage, and you'll see that remained intact. Which is cool. So if we do test 2, you'll see test 2 doesn't currently exist here. So you add test 2, now it'll exist in memory and storage. There's test 2 true. And so it will retain that. And then if you conversely remove test 4, see I clicked it again, now it's back to black and not strike through. If you do local storage, test 4 will be there, but it will be false. There's test 4, now it says false, meaning that, so when our logic goes back to check it on the refresh, it will leave it alone. See? So left it alone, it didn't turn it gray or rehash it because we unclicked it. And then inside the onload if is just counting the number of times that we're counting the number of basically the number of times that it's going through that if statement. So that's accurate because we have 2. So if we hashed out all 4 of these, refreshed it, yeah, you'll see 4. So that's just a quick little test for me to know that that's logic's working good and that loop's working good. And that's it. So this is the longest video I've done so far on this channel. For you that are my OGs that have stuck through to the end, congratulations. Congratulations, and thank you for being a very, very great supporter of this channel. And yes, and so I am officially done with this, and I'll be wrapping this up. Don't forget to push your changes to GitHub, and add your project to the portfolio projects in Odin Project, and move on. So won't make this any longer, so please like, share, and subscribe for more content. And let me know in the comments section how you guys ended up with this project, and if you had any hang-ups, snags, and showstoppers. So with all that said, till next time, see ya.